just want to say, really like the podcast. Really appreciate your work. I'm looking at you and thinking, I'd really like to aim like that. And I'm standing there going, I'm going to cry. I'm standing there going, oh my goodness. It's because he's going, well, look, I had to go away and think about it and go, I really appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that.
Welcome everybody to another Outside Crowd podcast, and I'm joined with the usual Billy.
Hello.
And the usual Ryan.
Yo!
And also delighted to have with us today, we've got Sally-Anne Rees from Sally-Anne Rees Planting Design. Sally?
Hello.
Lovely to have you.
Thank you.
So we might as well start off with you rather than talking to the boys. So just to start off, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got into planting design.
So, I'm a planting designer. I work in Sevenoaks and near there. I've been doing it for nearly a couple of years now. Previously, I was a gardener, and I've had a few careers really, but I finally landed on one that works.
So you were
for
a
me.
gardener before you got into planting?
Yeah, I was. Originally I was a lawyer in the city, and then I was a legal recruiter for a few years. Then I went and lived in Russia. I was an expat wife, and then, came home and...
So you've had a bit of a boring life then.
That's it, yeah.
How long were you a lawyer in the city? Or I suppose in the city, was it in the city?
Yeah, it was. I was in London 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
Did you just not enjoy that, or did you think...
No, it wasn't. I did it I read law at university and then thought that was just... You're on a track. I think if you were sort of academic, you just went down a track and did that. And then got into legal recruitment, which was more fun, less hours.
And then going to Russia?
Yeah, we went to Russia for a few years before it.
Yeah, sure.
Did you enjoy it? Was Russia...
Yeah, Russia was amazing, actually. It was they're really amazing people.
No.
It was a brilliant time. But
I suppose, and sort of, did that give you inspiration at all then to change, anything to do with changing into planting design?
No.
Nothing to do? No, nothing?
No, not
so
many plants.
Or how did you get into gardening then?
We moved back from Russia and we moved to Kent, and we moved to a house which has got quite a big garden, and I'd always gardened for fun but not particularly successfully, and then we had quite a big garden to sort of maintain, so I started working alongside a really lovely gardener and plantswoman who came to help me called Annabelle Lear, and really my plant knowledge grew, sort of talking to her, and spent more and more time outside and realised actually I was much happier there than in the office. So then decided really to retrain as a gardener at that point, and did the RHS level 2 diploma at Hever Castle over a couple of years, which was brilliant.
Wow. Is that's full time?
No, it's 2 days a week.
2 days a
over
week.
2 years, and it covered sort of theory, it covered practical, and it covered a basic sort of elements of garden design.
Horticulture.
Yeah. So that was a really good grounding. So I was doing that, and then was working as a gardener as well in Sevenoaks.
Oh, that sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
That was a good course, was it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. I had a really great tutor.
Yeah.
Who was now a dear friend.
I think a lot of people do the RHS one if their career changes later.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I did the Hadlow horticulture.
Yes.
But there wasn't anyone older than sort of like 21 when I did that.
Yeah,
And then that's probably why people don't want to do it, actually. You don't want to be studying with a load of... If you're a career changer with a load of 21-years-olds, probably.
How old were you, Bill, when you did it?
16?
Oh, right.
Yeah, 16 to 18. Yeah, 16 to 18. But yeah, I've heard it's a very, very good course.
It was great, and it was full of,
Garden design in there as well?
A very small element. It was more about sort of design styles over the centuries. But it was good. But at that point, I think going into sort of any form of design seemed like such a massive leap because you're learning. You've got a really good grounding in horticulture, but the design courses are largely based in London. They're very expensive, and I think to suddenly make that move, I think is quite daunting.
I hear you.
Well, I think also without that foundational knowledge about gardening and plants and plant science and soil science, you're kind of basing a design off little, aren't you? Which is what you like. or what you like looking at. But I suppose you can teach yourself, but it's important to know those grounding things first, isn't it? Probably.
I think it really, really helps.
Yeah.
You go in much more confident. I think if you've got that knowledge, because I think some of the garden design courses, and they're brilliant, but there's so much to learn in terms of the construction detailing and spatial design that actually the plants side is quite a small component of the course. So when you come out, that plant knowledge isn't, unless you've studied it with the RHS or you've done a different kind of course beforehand, it's not, perhaps the depth perhaps isn't there because there's just not time to cover everything on such a big course.
So how does planting design work? Because there's a lot to do there, isn't it? Because I mean, like setting out how you set out plants, how you have the choice of plants.
Yeah.
How does it work? What do you do?
So I suppose it's it's a different discipline to garden design, and I think it's developed over the last 10 years or so. Really, I think there's been a couple of big planting designers like Pete Udolph, who's done a lot of, he's behind the new perennial movement, which is,
right.
He's redoing all the borders he's doing the large borders at Wisley at the moment, and his influence, is really you can see across residential gardens everywhere now with his use of grasses and herbaceous perennials in sort of block planting. And Nigel Dunnett's another really famous planting designer. He did the super bloom around the Tower of London, and he's behind the wildflower and the wildflower meadow planting and that's become really popular with clients. So I think there's been the focus, I think, on planting design is there's become a focus on planting design as a separate discipline, which is I think one of the reasons why the London College of Garden Design had set up a separate planting design diploma as well as running alongside their garden design diploma. So really, the focus is not on hard landscaping, so looking at soft landscaping and either going in after a garden's been landscaped or looking at an existing planting scheme and revamping that.
Right.
So it can range from doing all concept plans and mood boards and palettes through to the actual detailed planting plans and then going out and planting them.
Do you not do any hard landscaping design at all?
No, I'm not trained in it. No. So I try not to.
So before, would it have been like the garden designer would design the hard landscaping and the soft landscaping, and now because they're quite. Well,
I think that still happens a lot, but I think there's more and more recognition that actually planting design and knowledge of plants is a skill in its own right. And I have worked alongside garden designers who are great at the hard landscaping, but actually perhaps their plant knowledge isn't where they'd like it to be, so they will sometimes bring on a planting designer to help that side of things.
Sorry, but I was going to ask you then, do garden designers actively, or they accept now that having a planting designer working alongside them is an enhancement to their service?
I'd say so. And I think looking at some of the larger garden design studios, if you look at the people working within those studios, you'll often find planting designers as a separate discipline, within that. So I think some of the larger studios will offer that service as part of their product. But
Sorry, Bill, were you?
Oh, I was just going to say, I remember when I used to do, like yourself, I used to do garden maintenance as a career for a long time. And then when you worked behind bad planting, and then people jam stuff in, it's like they had no idea how big they were going to get or anything. And we see that a lot with trees as well. We'll spend a lot of time thinning trees out because they have no idea. Well, because it impacts, the actual if you want to have a nice specimen, there's always a weaker one next to it because they've jam packed it in and you thin stuff out like that. And it's the same as planting, isn't it? So I used to go to some gardens to maintain them, and obviously you know what garden maintenance is like. A lot of it is weeding and stuff like that.
Yep.
Or cutting perennials down or whatever, and you get there, and it would just be like this sea of just. I'd be like, what is what here? I don't know, and then no one's given anything space to just. And then once you do remove one, half of it's not there anymore, like some shrubs, and then they all just grow into one carpet. So I can see the benefit of having someone who is speciality. It's a planting, because it's I think that some people don't have the foresight, do they, for what it looks like. It might look great when you plant it, but what about in 3 years' time or 4 years' time?
And that's the main thing for us, is the for me, it's allow your material to tell you, and when you're working in a garden, I mean, the hard landscaping, where the patio area, where your seating areas, your pathways to get to your log store in the winter, sure, but we do build everything around the garden beds. I mean, because we're not, yes, you may have a patio in an area that's going to get a lot of sunshine, but say deeper in the garden, the pathway is not going to be down the side the light gets in. There's going to be a flower bed there. There's going to be a planting bed. So, working around, which is the main focus of the garden, the planting, having that knowledge is, is fantastic. I mean, myself and Sally worked together recently, and you said you're not very good at designing gardens. Are you mad? I mean, we did that lovely curve. Do you remember?
Yes,
we did that beautiful
We've done 2 gardens together.
We have, no, absolutely. But the most recent one we did, was fantastic, and the idea behind the client coming out, and what was there originally, and it just the excitement that client got when you absolutely. So that was a lovely project to see something.
In terms of your work and your planting work, do you have like a style and sort of an ethos behind what you do? Is there any things that are you particularly like working environmentally friendly? Do you like working with wildflowers? What's your sort of approach to design? And
I think when you're trained at college, that you approach each project on its own merits, and yes, you can have a style that, I mean, there's on my website that sort of planting is what I would like to see in my garden. And I suspect that clients will look at different styles of garden designers and planting designers and look at how they, what they tend to showcase on their website, be it more formal or more a loose planting. But it depends on the site. I've got, at the moment, I'm working on a job in Sevenoaks, and it's a listed courtyard garden with a lot of topiary and very formal sort of parterre planting. So you've got to look at the site and also talk to the client and see what they want. So my own style would be looser, lots of grasses, lots of herbaceous perennials. But I think it depends really project by project,
Yes.
and the client's appetite for budget and also maintenance as well. I mean, when you're just talking about when you're garden maintenance and going to manage gardens, and if the time and the skill isn't there to look after those gardens, there's no point in putting in complicated planting designs that won't really thrive.
No, that's right.
I just want back to your point about just thinking about the trees. I think that's one thing that's really key, that it's putting in trees that we want these trees to be here in 50 years, 100 years, not putting in trees that are going to outgrow their space in the next sort of 5-10 years.
We see it a lot. We spend a lot of work, a lot of time doing that. Yeah. And that's okay, because sometimes people overplant. So, in the eventuality that some of them will die, and then you do formative removal, and formative pruning and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's quite a lot of the time people pack them in, and then that affects the canopy when it's later on, and then during periods of drought and stuff, if they're all crammed in, that's a problem. It's a really important thing.
You're quite happy to have plenty of trees rammed in.
Stick loads of them in.
Job creation scheme.
But do you have any favourite designers? People that you think, wow, they do really good work, and who you look to when you were at college and.
Vita Sackville West.
Sorry?
Vita Sackville West.
Of course. I mean, I love. My favourite garden is probably Great Dixter, but that's a real sort of plants person's garden. It's,
I was going to say, who's that?
That's amazing. That
it was Christopher Lloyd's house, the famous garden writer and gardener, and Fergus Garrett is the head gardener who's been there for many years. It's an incredible space full of masses of biodiversity and just beautiful plants. That's probably my favourite sort of garden. And designers. Jo Thompson, she's a really famous designer in she's based in Kent, and her planting is really beautiful. Sarah Price did a really fabulous garden at Chelsea last year, and she has very kind of ethereal, floaty, beautiful gardens. She's an amazing plantswoman, and again, she's really focused on biodiversity and the environment. So her planting schemes are always really, really beautiful. So
So how did you? So when you actually after you trained, and then you went into gardening. Was that right? Or
well, I started work as a gardener, and then was doing my RHS course alongside that. Yeah.
So how did you find the actual sort of setting up your business part? How did you find that?
So after I did the RHS, I then went and did the planting design diploma at the London College of Garden Design. So I love a course. I was speaking to my tutor today and about something, and she said, "Oh, they're running a different course soon." I was like, "Oh, well, I'll sign up for that too." So I finished the London College. I finished that in July 2023, and actually on that course there was one of the modules was how to set up your own business and all the T's and C's and health and safety and all the data protection and all of the back office stuff. It's been interesting. I've learnt a lot, I think, in the last year because when you all do it. You set up your own business and that skill set that you need it's
unreal.
There's so many aspects to it. It's so that's taken time. I've got I've spoken to a business coach, that's helped.
Nice.
Got a virtual PA, that's been really, really helpful. And then working with other colleagues and graduates from the course. There was a few of us that have a sort of a mentor group together, so we're all coming up with different problems and things that pop up, and then you sort of learn. You learn that way. That's helped.
So if you've got like 100% of your time, what's the split between practical work and working, on your business? Doing the sort of the non-fee earning stuff.
Oh, that's a good question. I'd say I've just discovered this app called Clockify. It's brilliant. Do you use it now?
Or is it to do with timekeeping? Yes. I do not use that. My timekeeping is shocking.
Well, mine is so bad. And Grania, my lovely virtual PA, who's brilliant, she recommended it because I was, you get to the end of the day, like, where's it gone? And it's great. You just click on, and then it's a free app, and then you can allocate your time to any project. So now I know the reason I'm telling you. Now I know how much time I'm spending on my business admin is probably more than it should be, but it's probably about 15-20%. Then I'm planting maybe 4 days a month, like 2-3 days every couple of weeks. I'll be actually physically out planting, and then I'll be doing design work in my office. So that's the other percentage that would be.
It's probably going to be a stupid question, but do you enjoy the business side of it, or is it just one of those chores you've got to get done?
I quite like it. I didn't think but I quite like it. Yeah. But just that percent, I wouldn't want to do it all day long. But, no. But it's it's quite.
But you cover then all, because I notice you do some nice posts on Instagram. You take some nice pictures as well. Do you do those?
Very good. I do, but
there's some lovely ones.
Do you think? Oh, thanks.
Yes, there's some really nice pictures on there.
But that's definitely a time sucker.
Yeah.
That's the word. Is that the right word?
Yeah, it's a time sucker.
And and I'm not very good. I'm too old. I'm old. I'm not. I'm not. It's just. Oh no, I am. I'm old.
You're old.
Well, that I found, and I spent ages doing a reel last week, and I thought, this is going to be it. It's going to be great. And I literally lost followers. I'm like, oh my god, it took me like 2 hours to do or something. I'm like, no. But that's the sort of thing I think actually outsourcing sort of Instagram stuff. But
you still have to take the pictures though, don't you? Still.
Yeah. Yes, you do.
Yeah, and then also like it's probably just me, but I think I'd really struggle to hand it over.
No, I would
barely
too.
ever do it.
Yeah.
I don't do it, but when I do it, I want it to be mine.
Yeah. Yes, you want it to be authentic and not some. Yeah.
So how else do you do sort of marketing to get work? Do you find that a easy thing generally? Does work come to you quite naturally?
I've been really lucky actually. I think I quite like networking. It sounds quite cheesy, but I like I like people. I like so I think that work has come through sort of networking, through garden designer contacts who've been instructed on roles that they're too small because they're just planting focused, so they've given them to me. So marketing is probably Instagram. I mean, I've got a website, but I'm not sure how much work comes through that directly. I think clients will either be recommended and then they'll look at my website and then go.
I guess that's
it's hard to know.
A place
isn't it?
They do go.
That's it. I think it's like often the quick place to look is somewhere like Instagram, isn't it? And then if they
Yes.
actually want to find a bit more, then they'll go
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
website to find a bit
Yeah.
more detail about you.
Yeah.
So they're still quite important things to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think Facebook probably, like local Facebook. I'm not really on Facebook,
No.
but I mean that probably for like local workers probably should be. I was reading an article about Instagram. Do you get the Pro Landscaper? I love Pro Landscaper. I love that.
Yeah, that comes through.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was there's one of the guys that writes in that. He was talking about Instagram and saying actually how just managing your time. If you enjoy posting, then brilliant, go for it. But actually, if you look at your Instagram followers, there's great if you've got 20,000. I certainly don't. But if you have lots of followers, if they're not based in your area and they're likely to be clients, then you just need to manage your time in terms of.
That's it, because you can get
posting.
lots of followers and people
Yeah,
are
so
not
they're
actually
living
of any
in,
real benefit to you, are they?
No, they
Yeah, but
can't change.
also, I suppose, if it's just a portfolio.
Yes, if it's like a landing page for people, then again,
So
there's
just
another.
here, have a look at my Instagram,
Yeah.
and then if you've got people following, that's also.
Yeah.
Okay.
If someone sees a post, I'll be looking for someone in this area, and it could be, couldn't it?
I'll just get more
I see
people.
what you're saying.
Every time we're working in Tunbridge Wells at the moment, and the kids go past in the mornings to school, and all the kids come running past. Is he here? Is he here? So I come running out the front. Louis, call Louis. Louis comes out the front, and he's like, "Hey, everybody!" So he says hello to the kids, and all the mothers and the fathers are just amazed. And I've just said, RTW Landscapes, Instagram, and every time we always get, the kids want to follow the dog, which is lovely to see.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
Yeah,
That's
good old
good.
Louis earning his biscuits.
So if it, like people, he's the hardest working one in the company actually.
I feel like I have my biscuits earlier.
So with your so if someone wants to engage you, how does the process work? What for planting design generally? What do? They come to you and say like, "Oh, help me, our garden's rubbish," that type of thing.
Well, I've had a mix. I've had that, and in where you're looking at a garden revamp. So I guess the initial thing, you'd go talk to the client, look around what they've got, sort of document what they've got, and then work out what they want in terms of their design, their style. Again, back to how much time they want to spend maintaining that garden, and then working up sort of a planting scheme that will enhance what's there without ripping everything out. So trying to keep as much there as possible. I've had people that have worked with landscapers, and the landscapers have finished the project but didn't plant it up. So then I'm going to a completely prepped site. So that's so I've had both really, and then I've had work where it's been partly implemented, and the garden designer has moved on, and I've just gone to supplement what.
I imagine there's quite a bit of liaison needed with the owner in the first place, with the client, isn't it, to actually sort of find out what what their knowledge is of gardens, what they like, whether they like doing it with its low maintenance, high maintenance. Do you enjoy that? Is that quite a nice part of the work?
Yeah, that is great, because when you're working on your own, if you're in the office, unless you're actually on site with a landscaper or you're planting, so that sort of human contact is quite nice.
Yeah, I love that part.
Do you get any of them who are actually a bit difficult, or not difficult, but say they sort of think they know not better than you, but like they want things this way, or they're usually quite open to how you present your designs?
I think I've been really lucky. Everyone all my clients so far have been really open, and I think when they're coming to a planting designer, they've got an appreciation for plants, and they want to enjoy plants. And they're not just looking at a really nice patio. You do lovely patios, but they're not just looking at a patio. So there's an engagement there, I think, because they want to talk plants, because they've hired somebody that's sort of specialising in that.
And if when you design it, sorry, that's what technical bits. What do you do? Sort of software? Do you start drawing out first of all, or how does that sort of creative part work? Do you sort of sit in a field and let the inspiration come to you, or what? How does it work?
That was both actually. So I have an easel, and so I will sketch initial sort of ideas and sort of elevations. So just looking at just the sizes and the shapes of like trees and shrubs and how they could sort of sit within the space. And then I work with SketchUp, so it's one of the more easier to use computer sort of programs. Generate my planting plans will come from that. So
does that give like a good representation? So do you take those round then to the client to say like this is roughly what I think it looks like?
Yeah,
and then
to do both. It's interesting that actually the biggest engagement you get often is your hand drawn sketches. So I'll sometimes just scribble something, just even for colour and just to see. But then I'll have done this kind of detailed sort of computer generated like plan and they'll go for the hand scan like that took really, but because it's a bit more alive than a computer. And most people don't. I mean, when we did the course, we started the course. The first day, it was like a how to draw day, and they before the course starts, they send you the kit list of all the things you need. So you go and you buy all your like beautiful like Japanese pencils and then your like pastels, and you arrive on your face like being back at school, and then you have your bit of paper and that, right, just sketch out a tree, and then just doesn't matter, no one's going to mark it. And there's that paralysis when you haven't drawn since you were like a child.
I know what a tree is.
And that sort of terror of first drawing. So that was one of the great things actually about the course, is that it sort of forced you to sort of, sounds really cheesy, but unlock that creative side. And actually it's so nice to be able to just sit, not in a field, but sketch. And just,
also could be nice to be there.
So
because that's what I was quite interested in, because like I worked with the legal profession when I was in my old career, and it's like it's a very disciplined approach. There's a lot of reading, there's a lot of reasoning and argument and all that, and it's so different from your creative process. They're poles apart. How did you ever feel? Were you like a frustrated lawyer? And also, did you do art at school?
I did. I did art A-level, but I dropped it halfway through my final year because I was doing academic subjects, and it was a fourth A, and it was always like you pick it up later. And I think my generation, if you were, as I said before, if you were academic, you went to university, you went and worked, you became a lawyer or a doctor, and I think that idea of it just wasn't seen as.
How did you do it?
Maybe I wasn't brave enough. Maybe that's the better way of putting it. I should have done it then, but I didn't.
I was just going to say, I don't sort of like press you on that. It wasn't like sort of, was it like sort of peer pressure and family and saying, oh no, look, you can't do this creative rubbish, you've got to go off and do it? Because I had that with my parents. I remember, I loved art. Yeah. But then my mum was saying, oh, no, you want to do woodwork, that's far more useful. And then when I did woodwork, I was crap at it. And I gave up. And I would love to do art. My kids are, are good at it.
Yeah, very good.
My dad was a designer, and that's what
wow.
I know, actually. I know.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go then.
He was, he was a set designer, and actually...
what, films?
TV. He did TV set design. And he...
cool.
So... I know, and it's sad that he never saw me go into this. He only saw me as a quite depressed lawyer.
Well, at least you
so it was there. I guess it was always there. So I've got there in the end. It's just taken quite a long time.
So you found the calling, and this is what you really enjoy.
Yeah,
because it takes it's like a brave decision, isn't it, to make that, to do a career change. I mean, I don't know whether obviously it was earlier in your career, but it's still quite a. It's a tough decision to make, isn't it? Because you're going down one route and then you've got to veer off and do something completely different. Yeah,
you were quite exposed. Well, you've obviously retrained in tree surgery, surgeoning, tree surgery,
butchering,
tree lopping.
Tree lopping. I think you're quite exposed, aren't you, when you start? Because you've got to be quite. Yeah, you're learning a new skill set. You're starting from scratch. You're like, am I going to be any good at this? Yeah.
You never got anything like imposter syndrome?
All the time, yes, of course. I'm female, of course. Yeah.
But I don't think. I mean, it's silly. I mean, I'm like a gym instructor now, I'm PT, and I get that same imposter syndrome. Yeah. You go there, there's all the young kids there, and they're all built like this, and it's like you just got to bluff it.
Yeah.
It's silly, isn't it? And you think because probably someone with a bit more experience, can bring a lot more to a vocation than.
I think that's one of those things that happens all the time.
Do you have imposter syndrome?
Well, yeah. There are times where you're sitting there going, right, how am I doing this? This is going to do this, right? Okay, you work it all out, and in your head you're panting away, going, okay, and then suddenly you get, that's really good, thank you very much. Okay, I think there was a thing. There was an article I was reading about people on their deathbeds. I might have said before, but people on their deathbeds, or even artists who've made it, they will always say that becoming a musician, they get really famous. They say, "I just don't feel like I deserve this," and it's like, why? What's wrong? You did the thing. It's like, yeah, but I've got all of this. It's like, well, no. People are looking at your knowledge, wherever that may be, looking at the enthusiasm, looking at what you're bringing to the table, and they go for you on that. And it's like, I always try and remind myself, I'm a professional. This is what I do. And we do some really high end work, but it takes me sometimes to go, I am a professional. I know my job.
I think if you're going to change your career, it is like, it's nerve wracking, isn't it? And you like, for a long time, you constantly, like, it's only for me, like recently, I feel like I am a sort of like professional. I don't know, like it's taken me a while, and but I think because I especially with tree work. I mean, like a lot of my course, that it did have there's a lot of tree science and stuff like that. And then I did another course, but it's like the actual tree work and I never worked for anyone else. I literally just taught myself. So I was like, gosh. You just constantly I watched a video on it, and now I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing now, but it's like you constantly feel like, how have I got to this point? Like, how have I done this? And then you come up against other companies. You're like, well, I'm never gonna get there. Because I haven't done it this way or whatever. And I wouldn't compete against somebody who started it when they were 18 or whatever. So yeah, I think it is.
I think half the problem with imposter syndrome is because you've learned, and your technical knowledge is a lot higher than the ordinary member of the public. That's obviously right. So you can see where the gaps are in your own knowledge. The layperson doesn't see that, so they still will see you as the expert. But you yourself know that there are bits that are just, and half of it is just trying to carry it off with confidence, isn't it? It's like
Well, I had it at the weekend. I went out and I met with. Oh, shame you didn't come on camera. No, we had such a cracking night.
I'm really gutted I missed that.
Oh, honestly, it was such a good laugh. It was great. It was. But I was out, and there was another young landscaper there. Really nice, real nice guy. With Jack Kent. That's another. Okay. He's all right. He's all right. Jack's another Jack. He's gonna love that. So there's another chap there, and he mentioned to me. So hey man, he pulled me aside and said, hey, just want to say really like the podcast. Really appreciate your work. I'm looking at you and thinking I'd really like to aim like that. And I'm standing there going, I'm going to cry. I'm suddenly going, oh my goodness. It's because he's going, well, look, I had to go away and think about it and go, I really appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. And I was like, for a minute, Ryan, listen to what that person said. That's another human saying something. Listen. That's someone. And it's like, do you know what? This is the reason we are doing stuff like this, because he's a younger company. He's like, well, there was things I've listened in there thinking, right, I'll make sure I've got that next time. And so you've just got to trust it. You just got to trust it and realise that you are doing well.
Well, I think it's obviously. I mean, seeing some of the work that you do and the stuff working with I've seen with Ryan. I mean, it's some lovely stuff. So I don't think there's any issues there.
No,
but
not at all.
we are cracking on with our time. So we're coming round towards the end with our. So we've got some quick fire questions for you.
Okay. Which
you know nothing about.
Okay.
So first one. What is your favourite summer plant?
Oh gosh.
Time's counting down.
I'm having a brain freeze. I'm going to say Salvia amistad. It's really, it's not particularly unusual, but it's a really great late summer plant. It gets huge, and it's these beautiful big purple flowers. The foliage smells amazing. It's fine. It's great. Right. There we are.
So ticks all the boxes.
So what's your
great pollinated plant as well?
Right, and your favourite winter plant?
How do you know?
I'm not going to go through all the seasons. But it's just
There's only 4. Come on, I can manage.
I've only got about 5 quick fire questions.
Okay, we'll say hellebores. Well, that's late winter, spring.
Right. Okay, right. Now, moving on. I've got a reason for asking you this question. Okay. What's your favourite book?
I hate those questions.
It's a great question. That's a great question.
And there is a reason.
You don't have an idea.
I've got so many. I love reading so much. I can't.
Do you like fiction or
Yeah, right.
non-fiction?
I'll tell you. That's my favourite book. I'm not joking.
I read both.
Fiction.
I read both.
The only reason I was asking, I was looking on your website and there was something said at the end which said,
I love reading.
I live at home with my family and other animals.
Oh, yeah,
and I wondered if
there
My
was-
Family and Other Animals was one of your favourites.
No, it's not. But
Oh, right.
it's a very nice book. Isn't it?
Yeah, I
No.
remember doing that at A level.
Oh, it's going to
O-level
bug me.
rather.
I have to remember that. I have to think about that now for my next
Right.
podcast question.
Yeah, that's it.
So this one,
Okay.
favourite designer.
Of all time?
Oh
Whatever
my
you
Any
want.
period of
Any
time?
period.
Yeah.
Whenever anyone that gave you inspiration.
I'll go with Sarah Price. I think she's
Sarah
fabulous.
Price. And I think you sort of covered this one earlier, but your favourite sort of public garden or garden to visit.
Oh, Great Dixter, hands down.
Where was that again? Sorry?
Great Dixter,
Great Dixter. Where's that?
Northiam.
Northiam. Everyone should go. Everyone
right.
It is
who
amazing.
ever plans to work in any garden ever should just go.
That's
It's
great.
very,
That's
very
great.
cool.
Excellent.
It's a
Right
place of
then.
joy.
Okay, I think we're coming towards the end. The final thing then is where can people find out more about you? Imagine your website.
My
Your
website,
Yeah.
Instagram.
Instagram. And
Yes,
all the information is there.
everything is on there.
So your website is www.sallyannereesplanttingdesign.co.uk.
.co.uk. Snappy.
There you go. Straight rolls off the tongue, that one. Rolls off the tongue, that one.
Oh yeah, and what's the other one we've got to do, Bill?
No, it doesn't matter anymore.
We're not going to have your plant of the day.
Well, you want me to do plant of the day?
Well, we can
Oh,
pass
bloody
it
hell. I could do plant of the day.
on. Well, you can usually have word of the day. But do you
Go on,
want to do
what's your
something of the day?
do the other one. Do the other one. Do
What other one?
Not word of the day. Phrase of the day.
No.
Come on, that was a good one.
Wait.
I'll tell
Pause
you
that
what.
there.
I've got a question. Plant of the day. Well, it's a tree of the day.
Right.
Ooh.
Oh,
Well, it
okay.
came up,
Are we going?
it came upon some research I was doing for something else. It's not seasonal now because it flowers in May and it's got a vanilla scent. Apparently, it's a bladder nut.
A bladder nut.
Do you know about bladder nuts?
I know nothing about bladder
Wow.
nut. I mean, I do, but I don't know anything about bladder nuts.
I hadn't come across them either, and that
fuck
was
is a
my
bladder
question.
nut?
Yeah,
They smell of vanilla.
yeah, they do. Apparently,
Wow.
Wow.
Hello.
We've
I
had
was
it.
going to ask you actually, what is that lovely plant? I think like now that I can't remember if it's now or spring actually, and I think it's is it Hammermailus?
oh yes.
Yeah, with that lovely yellow. Is that right?
Oh, you thinking the Edgeworthia? I think you might be thinking. You thinking of an
It's got like a
Edgeworthia?
curly sort of yellowy.
Yes, that's an Edgeworthia.
Is that right? Yeah.
Chrysanthemum.
Hammermailus.
No, Edgeworthia.
Edgeworthia.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Handmade are also very lovely at this time
Oh,
of
is
year.
that with the white flower?
They have different
But
coloured
it's like
flowers.
sticky with like it looks like quite sticky and then
Yes, and it's got the
okay,
sort of
well,
like the
that's
like starburst.
Oh,
Sort
maybe
of,
I'm thinking of Chimonanthus. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Maybe you are.
With the yellow. Okay.
Bloody get
Sorry.
rid of you.
No, sorry.
What were you thinking of, Ryan? I was thinking of
Indian
chrysanthemum.
sandstone.
The king, yeah, Indian sandstone.
Right then. So I think that's about time for everything. So many thanks, Sally, for your time. It's very, very much appreciated.
Oh, it's been lovely to
Hope
be
you've had
here.
fun.
It's been great. Thank you so much for having me.
No, pleasure. And I hope everything goes well for I suppose getting on towards the new year. So hope everything goes well for next year. And
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to the rest of the team. Thanks to Ryan
See you guys.
and to Billy.
Cheers, guys.
And thank you everyone for listening in to the Outside Crowd podcast. And we'll see you next time.